Hello, Internet. Thank you once again for joining me to talk all things vertical drama. Now, I know one of the things that a lot of people love is actually learning a bit more about how vertical dramas come to our screen and the process of making them. So I have found a dream team to talk to who can explain more about it. So I'm going to ask them each to introduce themselves, and also explain what their role is within the vertical drama industry. And I'm going to ask ladies to go first.
Well, my name is Analisa LaBianco. I am a screenwriter. My job is to conceive of the idea, work with the director, deliver that script. No, the actors do not invent the words, everyone. The words come from the director and I creating these and putting them, implementing it. And then, so that's pretty much the role of the screenwriter. And then we adapt as we go along if there's budget concerns or location concerns, actors that come in that will have certain preferences or certain things we want to maximize, like maybe diminish intimacy or up it, whatever their concerns, then we adjust that as the screenwriter adjusts that. It's like thinking of the screenplay as an architectural blueprint for that whole finished building. Is the building is there, and then the director takes it and runs with it and builds it from there. So hand it off to Mauricio.
So I'm Mauricio Osaki. I run Loop Films. We are a production house. I'm at Analisa. We've been producing original verticals, and we've been trying to elevate as much as we can the level. We did together Fight for Love, Escaping the Bridezilla, Good Girl Gone Bad, and now Spring Break, but at least is on Vigloo. You guys can enjoy. And we've been in a collaborative process, as Analisa mentioned. We brainstorm ideas, pick the concepts, fight sometimes over the plot when we are struggling. And I think it's a very good process. We're very proud, I think, of the output.
Definitely.
So, Annalisa, I have to say, I got a bit starstruck when I went on your IMDb because I saw the words Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
Oh, awesome. Yes, yes.
I love that movie. I went to the cinema to see that and it was awesome and it brought joy to my life. So, can we just get that out there? Love, love, love that
Thank
movie.
you. Thank you. As you know, that story, I saw it as Man on Fire meets Romancing the Stone.
Oh, that works. You see
That's
it?
right, right.
Yes.
And definitely everything I like to do has to have at least some little bit of romance in it. Of course, there are some projects where you can't do that, but from the dogs falling in love to the landscape artist and the niece, we just had that theme. And even the stray dogs that are rounded up and find homes. It's just a story, finding love and people coming together. So thank you. I'm so
It's
glad you loved it.
It's truly joyous. So, my question for you, and then also for you, Maurizio, is how did verticals enter your world? And as someone who's already an experienced screenwriter, what's the biggest adaptation you've had to make?
That's a really great question. So first off, I'm trained, of course, in screenwriting. I started writing television and features. I've done a lot of, I have of course, my credits, but also a lot of script doctoring I've done, fixing major feature films, et cetera, behind the scenes and working on those. And there's a couple of reasons I love verticals. And one of the things fundamentally as a writer, when you're looking at what are you drawn to, I have a little bit of a thing. Books are about what people think, plays are about what people say, and films and television are about what people do. And if you think of it that broad way, it sums it up. So a lot of books have internal thought in this. And when I was carving out who I was as a writer, I love to read, but I'm not someone who wants to write passages of internal thought. I love what people say, but I also don't want to have these interactive plays. But I was about what people do. I lean towards that. Now, verticals bring something different into the equation. Verticals are primarily about what people feel. And in telling that story of emotion, they incorporate internal dialogue, which is thought. They incorporate a lot of heavy dialogue, which is what people say. And then what people do, we don't want to make it, it's not, cinematic, expansive scopes. It's about limited what they do, but what they do has to be important. So for me, verticals were this interesting thing where we could incorporate these different elements of writing, put them together. In screenwriting, for instance, voiceover is considered a no-no, but the way that it's done in vertical, that lets you come into the POV of that character, that lets you internalize, you, the audience member, get to feel. And that's what verticals are about, feeling, emotion, driving that person to that. And now you'll see in mainstream, my verticals have, but look at Summer I Turned Pretty. There was a whole episode with Conrad where they incorporated his internal thoughts. I'm like, vertical, vertical. It's reaching that level. So I find it to be rewarding on a bunch of different reasons. For instance, right now I'm in an animation studio, etc. Animation takes forever. So I'll write something and I won't see it done for 3 or 4 years. Feature films, like we talk about Beverly Hills. Beverly Hills Chihuahua was one of the shortest turnarounds, and that still took me 3 years to see it on a screen. Mauricio and I will talk about a scene. I write the scene. 3 weeks later, he's shooting the scene. A month later, I'm looking at a rough cut to 2 months later. And then it's up. It's within a 3 month period. It's so fresh. And as a writer, you're growing. You're going, that line worked. That didn't work. You're able to see stuff. Whereas in feature films and television, you're like, oh, yeah, I remember I wrote that a while ago. So the closest comparison I would give it, vertical, for that pace would be like writing on a TV show. But a TV show, you're taking those same characters over and over again and then just giving them, the different episodes. With verticals, it's a different story. And you're at that same like pace of television writing.
I love that. That's something that I've really picked up, that you get such quick feedback on a project rather than just sitting somewhere for a long time. It's instantly like, wow, okay, that's resonated with audience. That's how that's come across. That's got great viewing figures. What about you, Mauricio, then? What was your path into verticals, and again, what's the
I
biggest adaptation you've had to make?
Yes, so I came on the verticals. I started getting invitations to direct, since I'm based in Asia, to direct the Chinese piece into English. I was in this first wave where they would literally Google translate the script, and I would read, and they say, that's it. And fix whatever you want. You're the director. It's up to you with the cast. And sometimes we would be on set, like, what does this line mean? Until in my first verse, until we were like, oh my God, this is Google Translation. It makes no sense. Let's just rewrite here on the fly, try to make sense of that. And then we were shooting 100 episodes, I think, in 7 days, like non-stop getting and translate. It was a work in progress. But then, as Analisa said, we have so many realization during the process. Like we are on a vertical frame. I myself, I love Paul Thomas Anderson. I love widescreen. We have the set, we have all. But in the verticals, we are here, like we are on the actor's feelings all the time. And then there's this, it allows people to imagine the words. There's, I think, this element of literature that Annalise's mentioned about the internal voice, about you are with the character, you imagine the word. If you say, oh, we are here in the hospital, we are in the hospital. No one is looking for this kind of full location of this hospital. People just believe, yeah. And I think that's such a lesson in the medium, because okay, cinema exists for more than 100 years. We think we know everything about that. We think we know what people like, or people like this type of high quality cinema. And then suddenly people are watching on the phones and they are hooked and they're talking online, and there's this huge community. So I think from these first Google Translation adaptations to start pushing to the originals, I think we are learning about what they are. And when people say, oh, this is a trend, I think, no, it's here to stay. It's going to evolve. It's going to keep like transforming. And I think we're just at the start.
What he said is really key, because when you frame these shows as a feature writer and a television writer, I had to tell other directors, not Mauricio, but throw the wide shots out. A wide shot's for a second, but a wide shot takes you away. Verticals aren't about spectacle, they're about emotion. So we want to be close. And one of the things that's so important to understand is this phone is intimate. The iPad is intimate. when you're on it, you have this relationship with it. It's got all your context, it's got the things that are important to you there. And so when the vertical comes through the phone or through your iPad, you have this one-on-one relationship with the material. And if you, from a film theory standpoint, there's a thing called the diegetic space where you're immersing yourself, you, the audience member, become that other part. And what's great about verticals is that, yes, all the things of establishing you briefly, because the audience has so much experience with having seen all this other library of film, they fill it in. And that's an active part for the audience to feel. And then they can also become part of that space. So, because it's intimate, it's right here. And it's exciting, to be perfectly frank, to be able to not have everything rely, like Hollywood's gone here. It's all about spectacle. It's about IP. It's about the biggest explosion. It's not about feeling. And a lot of people ask me, how do I feel about like AI? Is it going to be? And I always laugh at this because you can't get AI doesn't know what it feels to cry. It doesn't know what it feels to be broken up with. It doesn't know what it feels to be
No, I
at the altar. It doesn't know any of this stuff. And it's not going to be able to write that, or even for simulated actors to express it. All it is another thing of spectacle where you can use certain assets to create an imaginary world and bring it there at a cost. But again, this is not about spectacle. It's about emotion.
I
I
think
love
just
that.
speaking of in what Analisa said, a lot of people think oh verticals are absurd. People don't do that. It's crazy. And I think that's why AI will never gonna be able to write a script because our brain, the way it was wired due to evolution or whatever we think the way we are now, it was wired for survival, for instinct. So we are not very logical. We think a lot with feelings. And this in the verticals, yeah, and that's how we react. We don't react like in a binary, oh, this is, if we all reacted logically, the world would be, I don't know, perfect or
Yeah,
different.
verticals don't happen, do they? Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
right. Majority of
And
reactions in there are emotion based. Yeah.
is emotion based, and that's why AI cannot do emotion based. AI can do one plus one is two, but emotion is crazy, and why AI never gonna be able to do that.
Yeah, it's just a tool, and for like, for from certain standpoints of production, and sometimes I'll be talking out loud and use my notes and put it into it to formulate. It's nothing. I don't ever write from it or look from it or do any of that stuff. It's just like a research tool, which is great. One of the things I think that Vertical's got a bad rap on is, Verticals originated in China. It was right before the pandemic. Then the pandemic took them to this whole other level because everyone was home and trapped. And so verticals, a lot of people to then do American versions, UK versions of verticals, they use AI translation to take to shows that were done in China or scripts that were done in China and translate it. And then the AI translation is very stilted, very awkward. Then you add in cultural differences. And so a lot of those early scripts seem like AI had done it, but AI had just translated it. And so it came across that way. But pretty much all those scripts, everything was all never done by a computer. It was all done by people and then translated by an AI. So I think that's important to clear up.
But that's what I was thinking. Well, the exciting thing, obviously, that we've touched on is that you are not using that process now. You are writing original scripts, which I think can be seen in the quality of the work that you've put out. So my first question is how did you two meet and decide this is what you needed to do together? How did the partnership form?
Well, we kind of met through like LinkedIn and through just I admired his work with the Janitor Show. He has this really hit show he did that had a lot of emotion, and many people copied it afterwards. And so I also felt that he was he was somebody visually. Mauricio has a visual style and knows how to bring in a style still in a small screen and really fill it well, but still capture that emotion. And then he responded to my writing, and then we just clicked, and we formed 6 pitches, and we brought them to Vigloo, and they picked 2 to start, and we went from there and doing original stuff. I hadn't had a vertical script to show them or anything. They knew as a feature and television writer, and Vigloo was willing to go with originals. They were willing to do that. A lot of the industry is based on Chinese beta testing of the story. The Chinese show comes out and then they come and then they say, do a thing called a localization where you now turn it. But there are some things, and that was okay in the beginning of verticals when American audiences and maybe even UK audience were like, okay, why is that grandmother so powerful in the family? Okay, we'll just ignore that because it's romance. Why are they on their knees? Well, we'll just ignore that
Kneeling.
because they're romance.
Yeah.
Why are they being slapped so much? Well, we'll just ignore that because there's romance. But then, as verticals have grown and the audience has grown, we're not ignoring it anymore. And we're going, we want stories born from more authentic, original experiences. And that's kind of where we came in with our partnership.
And also, I think like a lot of people that started in these apps and streamings, they come from tech. We come from film, like my background is film. So I know, oh, the script is about drama, is about storytelling. It's not because people are like, oh my God, this is something completely new. No, no, this is still drama. It's still people want a good story. Is and if Analisa is a script writer, yeah, and she understands about script structure. Yeah, we can and we've been from the start doing the verticals, yeah, we know how the structure of the vertical works, but this is still drama and it's still storytelling.
And that's pretty key because a lot of people who are outside of it, especially industry people who are just getting involved, they'll sometimes equate verticals or call microdramas, and they'll equate it with the failure of Quibi, or they'll think of it as like these short little episodic stories. No, they're full movies broken into a delivery system that's episodic, meaning they're broken apart, but it's a full. The cliffhangers are found in television, they're found in feature. We just show them we're closer to we get rid of all the boring stuff. All the stuff that's not emotional, that's draggy because they want to they want to get syndicated on television. They want to fill this hour space and they leave you with that cliffhanger that makes you come back for more. Now we're giving you those cliffhangers all the time, and the cliffhanger is about an emotion. So that's why it's authentic. And one of the things I think is so funny is people will go, well, is it an artificial structure to writing? It's not. All screenplays have 3 acts. Television shows have an act structure. Verticals utilize an episodic structure to keep you on this small frame, dialed in emotionally. This is very organic to writing, to adapt a structure to a format. It makes sense. That makes.
Because one of the things I realised, I ventured out of verticals and rewatched Mask of Zorro with my family, which has, vertical moments in it. It's got dastardly villains and high drama. But yeah, there's big chunks of exposition that having now watched a lot of verticals, I'm like, we didn't need that 5 minutes. That could have all gone. And I found myself cutting bits that I was like, this isn't serving the plot at all. I don't know why this is here, and then I start worrying about my attention span and what it's done to me. But
I don't think it's that.
yeah, I just found it fascinating what you said. And I think that's probably part of the appeal of verticals, that you lose all that padding.
It's the padding, but it's emotion that we get rid of all the boring stuff. Yes, but it's, how do I explain it? I think we've gone so far from romance in feature and television. It's so secondary, it's so jaded and cynical. But romance novels have been around for forever. And I remember being like a little kid going, ooh, what's that Harlequin my mom's reading? And sneaking into her bedroom, and under the bed she had him in a drawer, and stealing one and going, ooh, what's this? And being fascinated by romances at a young age, because this is that human experience, and falling in love is feel good. It's this ultimate endorphin, oxytocin release. And so bringing that to people, and that's why I think that verticals aren't jaded. We're not cynical. It's about the embracing of that feel good experience.
And yeah, and I think that's entirely true. I think that's why pretty much all the viewers are there, of people looking for romance, and verticals the only thing that's really delivering in quantity. So I have to ask about your projects, because what I love is they all have really strong love stories in them, but are incredibly different in feel and style. So starting with Fight for Love, which presumably was one of the original pitches you sent to Vigloo, what was the inspiration behind that?
Well, we wanted to do a boxing. She wanted to do something with a boxer. And we wanted to do something that didn't have a billionaire.
And the guy
Well
doesn't
done.
wear suits all the time.
Yeah.
As a lead male. that you don't have to be a billionaire to have everyone. You need to be
Mm.
a tragic hero. We wanted that wounded hero trope. We wanted to bring that in. And so it was born from the idea that that you, as a fighter, your hands are considered lethal weapons, and that if you even when you're defending someone, it puts you underneath the microscope of the authorities on a whole nother level. And from a love story, this is something that can be manipulated by the law and be turned on you, that fighter that's rising, this bad boy that's got this gift that's now been used to save a girl and now being used to put him into prison. So it was born from that, this really deep ache of someone being torn from you.
And it's funny at the time. I mean, I love martial arts and boxing, and I know a lot of script writers they love as well. Like David Mamet is a big fan, and because is they say usually it's the sense of drama, like the good guy versus the bad guy in a final battle, and there's a lot of stakes. It's like their life, their physical body. And at the time, I remember there was no boxing. It was not easy to pitch, like, oh, it's a martial arts, it's boxing.
Mm.
And then after Fight for Love, now we see so many, but it wasn't easy to pitch. Oh, we are doing a boxing vertical.
Mm.
Was like, oh, so the guy be sweating and not being like wearing a suit, and it wasn't that easy to. But I'm glad we did.
And I think one of the things with Fight for Love is, and with all verticals, there's a whole thing in screenwriting and books and tell that the hero is only good as the villain is bad. For the small screen vertical experience, you need to have a villain. If you do like a sweet romance that has nobody, it's hard to track big moments emotionally and everything. So we had the ultimate villain. We have the sheriff and his corrupt son. And so now you have that authority that can take your life and put you back into prison to take away your freedom. And so that was kind of one of the things we loved. And then about Delaney, making her somebody who then became a lawyer to find justice, and it's just born from that. And of
She was
course,
a very strong character, yeah. There
yeah,
was a lot of reaction to her character because she was this girl who went to the law school. She was fighting all the time, like high stakes for her. She was after the Bronson. So yeah, there was so many response to her character. And I think it's uh, after that, the actress, Shanna, she got into so many verticals as well after that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the standout verticals for a really strong female lead. And I always go back to that scene of she goes into that small room that's completely dominated by very big men with very big personalities, but as a character holds her own and deals with all of them. It's one of my favourite scenes. Now what I find lovely is I love the variety that you do. So Fight for Love is it's a fantastic intense love story. You know, it's gritty and it's real stakes, as you said, that it's really like, someone's dead. This family are using the fact that someone's a sheriff to manipulate things. And then the next one you do is a real wonderful tonal shift, which is Escape the Bridezilla. Was that the other one that you pitched at the same time? And
Yes.
again, yeah, well, kind of what's the story behind that one? I love that one.
Well,
Usually we pitch a few different ideas to the platforms, and usually they pick. Of course, we have our favorites, but usually I, as a direct, I like to do something completely different, like Fight for Love and Escaping the Bridezilla
Yeah,
right after that. Yeah.
yeah.
Analisa, yeah.
so the whole idea of the wedding planner trope is very common in feature films. You saw the one, if you ever saw the one with Jennifer Lopez, there's
J-Lo, yeah.
yeah. And what was fun about this one was to bring in love at first sight and to bring in a psycho bridezilla who is manipulating things from the very get-go, even the fact that the guy's not even engaged to her and she's already plotting the wedding. I've known girls like that. They've got their wedding book at 10 or 12 and they're just trying to fit the dude in. You know what I mean? Just, okay, just grab him and shove him in. So it was, again, our hero was epic. And then, like, as that bridezilla, but then having the loaded backstory of a rich father who abandons a kid. And that ends up being, end up being, she's, a half sister with the bridezilla. That's kind of again what we want to do. We want to load the stakes. We want to have everything. I mean, we're not turning into verticals to see reality. We're seeing a heightened sense, right? but in a way, but all the emotions should feel familiar, something that we can all relate to. And so that's kind of what we wanted. And I find one of the sexiest things in the world is being trapped in an elevator seat. There was a brief moment of it in You've Got Mail. That one moment where all these people are just telling their life stories, and Tom Hanks is like going to say his, and Parker Posey cuts him off, and ever. But a lot of really a stressful situation, a near-death experience, can tell you a lot about who a person is, and it cuts away all the dross. It cuts away all of the superficial things, and that core thing of how they come together. That's a lodestone as a writer. It's a store. It's a point that's a truth that they go on from, and you can and build from. And so that was kind of, for both of us, that was something that was really important. And Mauricio designed the elevator. He built it.
We had like 6 episodes, and then there was no way we can hold the elevator like that long to film.
Yeah.
And usually we film with multiple cameras. So at the end, we say we need to build the elevators, and there was all these things happening. The cable snaps, and then the elevator shakes, and then there's the brake system. There's so many things in that elevator happen. So much drama there, and the two characters fall in love. So yeah, we built the elevator on studio.
That's amazing. And I was also thinking, because obviously it's lovely as well that obviously you had Shanna again as well, but obviously you bring in
Yeah.
Robert Palmer Watkins. What kind of say do you both get around the casting? Is that something that the app brings in, or is that something that you two can very much drive forwards?
We discussed in the writing process a lot about the casting, actually. I always ask Analisa, who do you guys, do you have someone in mind? Do you have this? And then I say, oh, I know this actress, Shanna. And then we brainstorm also the casting. I mean, for me, casting is, there's nothing much you can do on set, especially on verticals. We need to cast it right. And then usually we try to do also the auditions with key scenes of the script to see how is the chemistry, how they fit into the character. What else, Analisa?
Well,
You,
so what happened is I had seen Tyler's work and really appreciated him. He does a lot. He just does a lot in his eyes. He does a lot with his voice. He really gets his craft, and he really knows how to fill the screen. And when he's
Mm.
given the right material, he is extraordinary. He's as good as any television feature actor. And then Shanna is like this perfect girl next door, this just soft, you're invited into her. And so that came together. He brought Shanna, I brought Tyler, to the Vigloo's attention. And then Vigloo
Yeah.
made the choice. And we were just like fingers crossed because the casting tapes went in and we knew who we wanted. And then Vigloo saw the
yeah.
same thing. So that was exciting for that as well. And so
And
it's,
they did a few more. I mean, there's, I think, other shows with them. Yeah,
oh
they
yeah, they
repeat
then
the,
took Tyler. But I dare to say that he's best in Fight for Love because it's so interesting. His timing is just beautiful. I'll write lines and I just know he can say that line and just deliver it with the pause.
yeah.
It's just as a writer, just watching someone take something exactly how you imagined it and deliver it is just so rewarding. It's exciting. So that's Tyler. Mhm.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, I mean, he's very good, but yeah, I would say that is probably his best performance. He's extraordinary in that one. I think it's that thing because
Thank
he
you.
is the role rather than, oh, that's the actor doing that. It's like he's the role.
Yeah.
And
Um,
he took it so serious as well. Like we had I think I told you last time, we had like a professional boxer as a coach, and he would send some homework for Tyler. You need to practice this
mm.
combinations, and he would do like when he came to the set, he was so ready, like on the into the character.
I think there's something interesting. When some of the vertical scripts, the actors have to try to fill in. And in doing so, it's difficult because they're not they can, some of them can do it and it works. And then, but they're not given a lot of material that they get to refine and hone. They're actually trying to fill in holes. We give them this material that's loaded, and then they get to refine their craft with it. I think that's very different than them trying to fix holes in a script with their
You
performance.
know, crazy thing, Annalise, I heard, I mean, Jenna, uh, from one actress that she does a lot of verticals, she told me that sometimes they would show her like the Chinese version and say, do that. And she was so frustrated. She told me, she was like, am I here to just try? It's impossible, you know? And then I think the great thing about we having the chance to do originals is because we can design what's the character and what we're looking for, and we
Yeah.
can give this space to the actors to feel, also bring part of their personality. And I think that's
Mhm.
also they're able to bring their best performance. I'm really pleased with the actors we worked with. Like most of the times the performance are great in our shows.
You, I think where we have come into this business is there, have you heard of the Wild West and the gold rushes? And there's been these moments in all art when Picasso comes in and expression, all these different phases. And right now with verticals, and right when we started just a year and a half ago, around a year ago, we this wave is just starting to rise. What's exciting as someone who's been in TV and film is to actually catch something new, to catch that wave
Mm.
at a particular moment and be able to help shape it. And that's kind of what we're hoping to do. The industry itself is at a very interesting place. They have IP issues because they copy and copy and copy stuff. They have issues where in copying things, it's dulling people's appetites because it's just the same story done in a different thing. Oh, he's an astronaut. He's a this, he's a that. It's just the same thing. And that's because they're trying to have no risk. The
Mm.
film industry will tell you, and television will tell you that risk is part of movie making. You can ask even Steven Spielberg, and you'll deliver 10 things. You don't know which ones are going to be the hit. There's an element of risk with everything, but from risk is great opportunity, and from risk is born art. So all of the apps need to really look at themselves and go, where's my research and development department? I'm
Mm.
taking for every localization, for every sure thing, which actually is not proving to be a sure thing anymore because appetites have been dulled, but for every wannabe sure thing, I'm developing something newer. I'm inventing I'm bringing in new tropes to the trope industry. And that's really important for the future of this because this is an evolving art. This is a
Mm.
storytelling delivery system that is right now everyone's got their gold pans and they're rushing to California. That's what I'm saying.
We
That's where
really are.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're right there, and it's exciting because we're ahead. We're like, come mine our mine. We're Mauricio and I, we know how to do these originals. We know how to make them successful. And that's something all the apps need. They need their originals. It can't just be a localization, a derivative of something that's already been.
Because someone made the really good point. Like, if you want, say, the Breaking the Ice storyline, which has been made about 40 times, you've got more than enough to watch. There's enough out there to satisfy anyone who wants that storyline, which is where we need the new things. I just want to say as well, I just want to say to you, Annalisa, as a writer, one of my favourite things about Fight for Love is obviously, I can't remember the character's name, but Tyler's character has the I'm not good enough for her and her family. But it has the best bit at the end because when he meets the family, he's kind of like, they're not good enough for me. And you very rarely see that in that storyline. And I adored that. So I just want to say thank you for putting that in because that was awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's awesome. And that was part of that whole idea of the underdog wounded warrior hero, the guy that, the bad boy that has this gift. And then, but one of the things again, heightened reality and also making it where everyone, he wins in the end. He's got $20 million endorsement deal. She took a risk on him. The risk pays off. I mean, everyone, money's not everything, but money makes things really helpful in life.
Mhm.
So we want our characters to thrive and to grow and also to not have to struggle, so it's always a good thing.
So talking of money, that's a really nice move into your new show, which has just come out this week, which
Mhm,
is Spring Break Bucket List.
mhm.
Money is not a problem. So
Yeah,
we have
for
two
these
very rich
people.
families,
Yeah, very,
and
very rich.
would
Yeah.
you say that the pitch is kind of Romeo and Juliet on spring break?
Without
That
a doubt, from conception, it's a modern day Romeo and Juliet story from the very, very get-go. And we also wanted to design it to be sweet romance, to
Mm.
be something a parent wouldn't be appalled that their kid watched, or that the parent could watch with the kid. So in that sense, it has more of a samurai term pretty vibe. You know what I mean? There's
Mm,
the bullying is there, but it's not to the point of abusive or to the point where you feel a little icky and tainted, you know what I mean? Which has
yeah,
been happening a lot with some of the shows because they go too far and they don't understand that that's message can, you
yeah.
know, become its own thing, its own problem. So this one's sweet, it's pure, it's yeah, it's dynastic families and then the kids playing it out, right? The teenagers and the heirs, if you will. A little bit of Succession there. So
Yes, there's a
people
little
are,
bit of family intermingling.
yeah,
Because yes, diving into it. So that was the first thing I wanted to say about the bullying, because yes, there's been this kind of trend of going to kind of clickbait, rage bait, let's just show nasty things. And then it does the more you put in, the more it desensitizes the viewer.
yeah, yeah,
So actually, if there's one slap, that has much more impact than endless stuff. Whereas I found in this in a way was harder because the worst thing for me was the embarrassment stuff.
yeah.
So it was fact that the bully is like, I'm going to read out your bucket list.
Yes,
And
it
that's mortifying. And is
is.
actually, that has more impact than like if it had been endless physical stuff. That had much more because we've all had that moment and we kind of all know that feeling. So I love that you used that as actually something much more powerful, but also it gave that character, they were able to flip it and obviously
Yes.
what he does and is like, actually, do you know what, we're going to own this, I'm going to own that this is what I want to do and we're going to go and do that. I love that.
I'm going to be proud of who I am. Yeah, that's really a big thing is just that moment where you've been exposed and then you realize I'm okay. I can I know who I am in this moment. Interestingly enough, you find yourself, and that's what happens with her. You see her come to this ownership of who she is, and such an important moment because that's one of the things when verticals are done right. Adversity brings you to your best version of yourself, and that's what we all seek to do with these kind of shows.
I think there's also two things about that. I mean, one about what you're saying about the movies and series that people have been saying now for 5 years. We are tired of the Marvel movie superhero. It's enough. And it's still like they're doing one after the other, flop after flop. I think with the verticals, people start talking about that on our next trip, 2 months after, or the same month. We're already thinking, oh, let's change. Let's change instead of slapping all the time. Let's, especially when we're doing originals, we have this chance to on like trying to adjust and trying to see what's the feedback of the audience because now people with the verticals they comment, there's all the fan clubs, the communities, so we are always like paying attention what people want and we can make these adjustments also in specifically in spring break bucket list. I think was one of the most beautiful scenes that Analisa wrote that like uh the character of Kayla, she owns that and they go dancing in the rain in front of everyone and that kind of went viral. Like even Vigloo posted these days, and everyone enjoyed like that scene.
The other thing is there's
Because the
a
other thing as
yes, sir.
well is you made this amazing choice, which you've kind of touched on as well, because the obvious vertical thing would be that the bully or the difficult girl is the ex-girlfriend or the girl who set her eyes on him. It's much more interesting that she's the cousin and actually she's interested in the family thing. Was Succession the inspiration for that? Is that where that came from?
Yeah, it's not directly from Succession, but it is this idea of dynastic and competing heirs, which is so fun to see. And then to give the bully a motivation, which isn't just I want the dude, I want the guy. It's bigger. I want the $600 billion. That's what I want. And so twisting that up and having there be three, and there's only one Jules. So this feud has reduced this family down where the Marshalls have three possible heirs and there's only Jules, and the father is pushing her to get married and have a baby because there's only her left. That's what feuds do. They reduce down all our resources, they take away, they don't build. And then one of the things we wanted to really do with this show also was there is a very big trope in verticals called damsel rescue. And damsel rescue trope is the guy saving the girl. We see it every single time. And we're seeing a fatigue in the audience with damsel rescue. So, what is more complex about Jules as a character, Juliet, is that yes, she's naive. Yes, she's innocent. Yes, she's a virgin, but she also knows jujitsu. And she learned the jujitsu as a mechanism to fight for the few, for her father to make sure if she was ever kidnapped by the marshals or someone like that, that she could defend herself. It
Yes.
makes a complex character, somebody who's not just, oh, I'm naive, rescue me. You know, she has this other element to her, which makes her more grounded and real, and more of a for young girls watching this, more of somebody aspirational, which is what we were looking for.
And she defends when they try to slap her, she like go directly like with she used that all the time, which is
Yeah.
cool.
And then we have the fun when she wakes up and puts him in the jujitsu hold with her
It's
legs.
brilliant. I love that scene. That scene's so awesome. And we've not seen anything like that before in a vertical. Um, and you're right, actually, I hadn't even thought about that. But yeah, I did a post about all these billionaire families who just always letting their children get kidnapped and don't seem to take any precaution. So you're right. This is a dad who's actually like, I'm going to train you and make sure you can look after yourself. So a
And
little bit
there
of
ha
logic there
and
for
we did a
vertical.
little research on that, and there has been a lot of some of those families are doing that, and they're training them in certain ways to defend themselves, and some. So there was actually a grounding for that. But yeah, it's a high rate of kidnapping when you're wealthy. So it's something to really be to really be aware of.
High and low, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I think I think what Maurizio did, it was so incredibly challenging for a vertical to have to be at a resort, to have a surfing element, I mean, if you look at a lot of the verticals like this, they don't have, he managed to bring scope in without taking away from the emotion, but really give you the sense that you're on a vacation, like you're away on this spring break, which I thought was really remarkable, which was fun.
It's brilliant. I wanted to ask you a bit about the decision as well, because I like that Ryder knows from the beginning exactly who Jules is. So
Yeah.
actually, her worry throughout it is like, I've
Yeah,
got to tell him. And it's like, that's not even an issue. He's already there.
yeah,
Was that something you decided fairly early on that that's,
yeah. It's that Shakespearean, contretemps, the one person knows, the other person really knows, but then they're playing the twist. It's a double
Yeah.
twist. It's a twist on a twist. So instead
And I
of
think
being two naive people, Ryder's not naive. Ryder is the most jaded person of all. Jules is the most innocent, naive person of all. But ironically, the person who changes is him. Her innocence, her purity, her naivety, her joy for life makes him a better person. And that's that message.
and I
I
have to
think
ask
that
about the
also,
casting as well, because your casting's great
yeah.
for it.
No, I was just gonna say allow his character, Ryder, to have such a nice arc. And I on the guys being kind of assholes, like he has a real redemption. He changed, he shows real growth. I
Yeah.
think on his character change in that. And I think Linden talking about the cast, he did a great job, like in starting like totally playboy, trying to have fun, and to really change and like say, okay, I'm willing to give up my name, my money to be with the girl I love.
Yeah, it was fun. And then casting wise, we had Kayla in mind from the very get-go. That
Mm.
was something we were shaping around the story. So when she said, yes, I have to do this, I don't even care who's trying to block me from doing this. I'm going to Vietnam to shoot this. We were all very excited. I mean,
No,
she pulled some
yeah,
to do this. Yeah. She
she
wants to,
was in a family holiday, and then I think she came back to LA, and in the same day she took a flight. We adjusted the schedule and got her here, and were able to film with her. But she was awesome.
yeah. And she's a great girl next door, really grounded
Yeah.
actress and character, and has a great voice too. Like she's very she carries a lot of emotion when she performs and when she speaks.
And I was thinking, is this one of the cases where almost you can slightly rewrite either in the script or just when you're filming? Because obviously when you go and look people up, and obviously Lyndon's got this sort of stunt background. So I just thought that just means you just add those little things like he does the backflip into the swimming pool, and you know that you could add the surfing. Presumably that's a bit of joy that you're like, oh, we can just add that in because he can do that.
Well, the backflip was definitely added in, but the surfing was there. That was just like, yes, please. And then the singing, we were just so happy because we wanted to do that homage to 10 Things I Hate About You, because it's that,
Yeah.
it's again, it's your freaking bucket list. Let's load it, man. And so we wanted to have that classic, what's more romantic? Say Anything, all these things were Guy serenades.
Yeah.
And then when we saw Lyndon could sing, he had this other thing, and we saw he could sing. We're like, okay, we're not going to it's going to pull, we're going to be able to pull it off. So we had that already in the script, and then he could deliver. So that was great.
Oh,
No,
I love that.
Linden, he was like on set. I would have to say, Linden, stop doing this backflip. You're gonna break her. Please. I mean, we would be like filming here, looking at the monitor, and on the background, Linden like doing flips and going crazy around. I mean, he's just so energetic. It was so crazy.
Yeah. And it was a fun choice to go with more of a surfer dude type of guy, like so more, he's this billionaire heir, but he does have that swagger, that surfer dude swagger, made it more spring breaky. You could have done the dark billionaire guy brooding that comes in but we went a little bit more for the holiday and more the vibe like that, which was, different.
And
Long,
then,
it's,
yeah, and then I don't think I've seen long hair for a while.
no, no, no.
And I have to ask, so with the song, how do you decide what song to do?
Something that's in the public domain that you're not going
And
to penalized. It's still
Annalisa was
has been
sending
in
the list. I
romantic
was,
comedies. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm fighting where I gotta find something. And that one had just in 2024 become available that we could do it. And it's been in
yeah.
Harry Connick Jr. It's been in so many major movies. So it was like romantic movies. So it was so exciting to be able to use it.
But as well, the words fit as well, don't they? That's what's so beautiful about it. It's like the words really work. Oh,
That's
that
that
must have
we
been
believe in
such a
fate.
cool moment to film, though. And then he's standing on the desk and everything you want from that scene. So,
It was a cool moment to find it, like go yes, and it's
Yeah.
public domain, and then convince everybody. Oh wait, they're all looking at all the different countries that can be shown. That oh yeah,
Countries, we're checking. Yeah.
I'm like fighting. He's like, I don't know. We're like debating it, and then all of a sudden he's like, you're right. I'm like, yeah. So it's
No,
very,
because you're like, what if we film all this scene? We have a lot of extras, we have the full school, and then we find out it's not, but yeah, it was just on the right time, the
yeah,
public domain.
yeah, totally.
so I am going to talk about the ending. I'm going to say pause now if you haven't watched it. Go and watch Spring Break Bucket List on Vigloo and then come back. But I really want to talk about the ending because sometimes it's kind of he's made his stand, they've sung, and it could slightly fizzle out.
Mhm.
But you take it in a really interesting new direction with obviously the discovery that she's pregnant and then what happens there. Um, was that all? Yeah, how did you, was that kind of coming from we need to find a way to resolve the feud? Was that where that came from?
It was kind of a combination of a bunch of things. Resolve the feud for sure, but also there's the tangible. This is a baby that represents both families. That's how do you I mean, I guess feuds have continued, but this is like an undeniable fact. And then I think it was and then it was that element of life coming in and shocking everybody and forcing everyone to do a check. Like, why are we still doing this? We had done a lot of research on feuds, even from Romeo and Juliet all the way to the Hatfields and McCoys, which were a real feud. I looked at all kinds of different feuds, and a lot of them, most of them, the people 10, 15, 20, 100, they didn't even remember the origins. They didn't remember why it had even happened. They just were so caught up in the vitriol. So it was very nice to be able to kind of incorporate that into a story where we're doing a modern day Romeo and Juliet where they don't die.
It it was so funny on set when we were shooting that line, and Tessa say, "Oh, it looks like Romeo and Juliet," and then she replies, "Oh, they died." Like, and I think going to a completely different ending, especially in the verticals that people want to laugh and feel good. I think what's great that what we put together for the ending.
Yeah. And then that
Yeah,
collision.
I love that scene as well because obviously there's the thing about it's pointed out no one remembers why the feud started. So this is
Yeah.
kind of the family scene at the end, but also the fact that he's like, well, I'm just going to take her name. And
I
then
know.
that just flips everything. And Dad's like, you do that for my daughter. And that almost seems to, as well as the baby, just bring it all down. And everyone just, yeah, it's a beautiful scene at the end.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So when then you've created these projects and they go out, what kind of do you look for reaction to kind of make you go, yes, this has worked. We know we've got a hit. How do you measure success?
I think with Fight for Love was pretty obvious. Like after a month, we start seeing like boxing. I'm not gonna say the title, but even the titles like so similar to ours or like other boxes, and then it was pretty obvious. Like
Mm,
people were like, and of course we can see in some websites when people are posting, but Fight for Love, yeah, was pretty obvious, was going viral, and people are
mm,
talking. There are like reviews about that. I think with each series is a little different.
Well, then
Analisa,
there's
yeah,
then Forbes did a we can send you a Jen, it's pretty amazing. They did a whole article on Vigloo's rise, and in one quarter they just went whoosh. And they mentioned four things. They mentioned Fight for Love, Escaping the Bridezilla, and the cowboy one. So two of our projects were responsible for this was Vigloo's a fairly new app, and it just like
mm.
soared. So we knew then as well that it had but I think the audience feedback is amazing, and then people recognizing that something new was injected into the vertical sphere. That's kind of where he and I, when we talk about this stuff, it's all about how do we elevate this? How do we, take this to where we know the next level is? Because let's be real. There is a film history and television history. Verticals don't just exist like they want to. The tech companies want to, we're gonna get something new, and that's all there is. And no, 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 no. Okay, let's
yes.
be real about this, and let's see how do we bring in this really rich history of film and television into this vertical landscape. That's kind of one of the things where is important to us.
And I think we love films. We love filmmaking. We love the art. You know, we're not like started with the verticals. Like
Mm.
we love films before and after, and we love discussing about the films. Oh my God, what if we take that concept from the 80s, from the 70s, and we do it now? I mean, we don't want to be doing just oh the billionaire, blah blah blah. We want to like take something that we love and then like reshape and present to the new generations. I think there's not, it's really satisfying. Let's take a film I love, and I think if I can present in a different way to a new audience, I think for me that's amazing. And as a director, yeah, I don't want to just go on set and be like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I want to like be doing completely different projects where I'm like, oh my God, how I'm gonna do that? I think that's what's exciting as well.
And I think it's for verticals. And what I would say to like all the app companies, separate the episodic structure and the paywalls from the frameworks that you think are the only successful frameworks that exist because they were beta tested in China. There's a lot of things that aren't going to work here, and they're not going to work here as the audience gets more sophisticated and wants more and feels they're paying to want more. You know what I mean? So let's take a look at this really rich history of literature and film and television and tropes. What I'm talking about are these major tropes, these major interesting things, and then serve it up differently and serve it up emotional and be unapologetic in emotion in just making people feel, which is I think in this culture where we don't know how to feel about so much. Men don't know how to be men really because we've been we're scared of everything, of how to, people don't know how to go up to someone in a bar. It's like all that stuff. We're gay. Okay, let's all feel. Let's all like care about stuff and be emotional about love and about be optimistic about it. That's like a big thing. The studies on dating are scary nowadays, and that people don't even have they haven't even had the, because film and television have gone so far away from it, they don't even have any kind of emotional framework to see it. I think verticals are in their great form, not in their abusive form, but in their great form, they're giving people emotional frameworks and making them want more, making them want to see that in their own lives, which is exciting, you
I
know.
love that. That's such, yeah. I think you're onto something there. And now I need to know, you see, what are you two cooking up next?
We have a we have a we have probably like, I don't know, over 30 original ideas that are just are, but we have to survey
There's so
our.
many things you're dying to do. It's kind of it would like, oh my God, I'm gonna keep, let's keep this concept here for the right time because and I think that the thing I think there will be more 2026 more new platforms coming
Mm,
and I think also from what I see and what I'm reading, there will be a craving for originals because that's what the oxygen in the
mm,
industry, in the film, in the series are originals. Even though you have all these IPs that were tested, they were testing different time, different market. I think originals are what you're gonna really bring more a new audience. So I'm happy we have these ideas and ready to go.
Yeah. And we are in negotiations with different platforms on this. One of the things I will tell you, there's like, if you think of verticals as like there's a vertical library, there's a vertical sense of storytelling. What an original does, whether that original is a hit or not, it introduces a new trope and it
mm,
introduces a new way of storytelling that we can see is it successful or not. Where was it successful? A lot of verticals will take the same show and redo it 2 or 3 times, and they're trying to push it towards a hit and by using their marketing to go, oh wow, this worked here, but this didn't. With what we need to do is infuse new blood into verticals and then open the dialogue up. And that opens up the possibilities for storytelling. And that can only happen with originals. And we're not saying to the apps, oh, you know what? Transform everything to original. We're saying use at least 10% of your budget of your releases, have them be original, become a leader in this genre, not trailing the Chinese market,
mm.
which is what it's really been all the way up to now. That trailing and reload and localizations, they call them, and all these other things. So that's kind of where it is. Let's put new blood in and let's expand it and let's explore this frontier. That's so exciting to be part of.
I'm just really excited as a viewer because you've brought, as you said, 4 original stories. I know there's more. And yeah, we're so ready for what you're doing. So just thank you on behalf of the viewers for everything you're doing and your vision, and also understanding that we are here for the romance. It is about the romance when it comes down to it. That's why I'm here as a viewer.
I agreed. I mean, I don't know if you remember the classic Romancing the Stone, but I have to say, when if it opens up and she's crying as she writing, I do that. In
Oh.
the romance scenes, I'm crying when I think of certain scenes, and that is as a writer, that's so fulfilling to get that to the screen. And then Mauricio, as a director, does it. He brings it there, and it's not lost in translation, which is so rewarding. And then the audience reacts, which is you make them feel too, which is so exciting, rewarding as
Yeah, I
well.
think one thing I love also when we do these originals, whatever, like even if it's people say, oh, there were some flaws here and there, but we get so much feedback and so much of the review. I think all our shows, suddenly we have so much reviews and people write and inboxing us, oh my God, this and that, and they want to know, oh, you guys do originals, you did something different. I think there's so much contact with the fans and even other series that I did that I directed that there were like adaptations or remakes from the Chinese, we never had this level of like feedback by doing originals, and I think that tells us, yeah, that's success somehow, and say, oh, we need to keep pushing for that.
And I think our big brand though is we're not doing toxic. That's not what
Yes.
we're into. We're
Mm.
not into toxic love. We're not into toxic relationships. If there's a toxic moment, it's a learning experience, and that the characters triumph over. And we end up seeing what's the proper way to be. Then that is another part of this, because this stuff could slip, people could go trying to get that quick buck and go into a really dark place too often. And then that shapes how people are seeing verticals, and they're not that. They were born from romance, they are romance. If you take every single hit, 90% of them are sweet romance. Learn from that apps as well. Don't just go chasing the dark elements of our society, which I keep seeing these ones that I'm like, well, there's child abuse. There's things that, and in American culture, we would be like calling, it doesn't even make sense. Some of these don't even make sense because it doesn't, it's all about some weird a gotcha moment, but who cares, in the end. So yeah, no toxic. That's our big thing.
Thank you, both of you, for everything you're doing. And yeah, I can't thank you enough as a viewer. We are so grateful for you. And thank you for your time and just explaining things so beautifully in this interview.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your wonderful reviews and for being part of
Thank
this.
you for having us. Yeah.
Yeah, but contributing yourself on such a huge level to what is a huge developing marketplace. So thank you so much. You're a light.
And I think we want to say, Jen, we listen the things you guys discussed. We are always connected to the discussions, especially because we are creating originals and we are learning from that. And we want to always be giving the step forward.